Hello everyone, so in this video we will learn how to work backwards. So let's look at an example that we have here. So you take a job at Best Buy selling smartphones. Your base pay is $150 per week. For each smartphone that you sell, you earn an additional $18. Complete the table, and you can see the table is asking the smartphones you sell in a week and your weekly pay. So first, let's look at a couple of the scenarios from here. So if you do not sell any smartphone, that means your base pay will be 150 and your weekly pay will be 150 because you did not sell any smartphone. Now, if you sell one smartphone, that means you're going to earn an additional $18 and that will get added to your weekly pay. So you will be making 150 plus 18 and that will give you 168. That means if you sell one, you'll be making 168. If you sell two, all you're going to do is 150 plus 18 and then another 18. So 18 is going to be 36 plus that 150, which will give you 186. So that means if you sell two, it will be 186. Okay, so now what about 10? Now some of you may be thinking, okay, should I add 18, a total of 10 times, or is there a better way of doing this? So yeah, we can certainly do 18 plus 18 plus 18 plus 18 a total of 10 times. There's nothing wrong with this, but it just takes time. So instead of doing this way, there is another way we can do this. Since we are selling 10 smartphones, I can simply multiply. So my base pay is already $150 and I'm selling 10 smartphones. That means I'm gonna do 150 plus that 10 smartphones, and since each one is giving me $18, so 10 will give me 10 times 18. Okay, so we have $150 plus 10 times 18, which will be $180. And if we add these two, I'm going to get $330. So that means if I sell 10 smartphones, I'm going to earn $330. Okay. Now things will get a little bit more interesting when you have your weekly pay and you have to figure out the smartphones you sell in a week. How do we do this? That if we know the weekly pay, can we figure out how many smartphones were sold? Okay. So this is where it comes working backwards. So let's try to understand this. So in order to work with 366, first let's look at the same example that we did, that we sold 10 smartphones and we earned $330. So let's work on that. So let's say I don't know this 10. I know about these 330. How do I get back this 10? So again, this concept is called working backwards. So first write this down, working backwards. Now, in order to work backwards, you need to know exactly what we did here. So if you notice here, first we did multiplication. Now you have to remember what you did, because then it'll be easy for you to work backwards. So if you notice here, first we actually multiplied 10 and 18. So I'm gonna first say that, okay, multiply 10 and 18. That's the first thing we did. Once we multiplied that, we got 118 and then we added 150 to it. So second step, we added 150. So that's the regular way of finding 330. So again, we first multiplied 10 and 18, and then we added 150, and then we got 330. Okay, so now we are going to work backwards. So remember, in order to work backwards, we have to undo this two things. So multiply 10 times 18 and then added 150. So in order to work backwards, first of all, you have to look at what is the last thing that you did. The last thing that you did is added 150. So that means if you're working backwards, the first step would be subtract 150 from that 330. So step 1 is subtract. So subtract 150 from 330. So this will give me what? So 330 minus 150, and that will give you 180. So that's my first thing when I'm working backwards. Now if you look at the first thing, we multiplied 10 and 18 to get 180. So in order to figure out how many smartphones were sold, we are looking at the number 10. Okay, so to get that 10, we instead of multiplying, you have to do this the opposite operation. So number 2 will be, instead of multiplication, there will be division. So we are going to divide the 180 by 18, and that will give me the smartphone, which is 10. So 180 divided by 18 will be 10, and that's how you know that this is 10. So again, if you are working backwards, you have to first see what you did. So you first multiplied 10 and 18 and then added 150. So multiplying 10 and 18 gave you 180. And then by adding 150, you got 330. Okay, sorry about that. So that means in order to undo this, first you're going to subtract 150 from 330 so that you get 180. And once you have your 180, you're going to divide it by 18, and that gives you the 10. So that's how you work backwards. Now let's look at another example, which is 366. We'll do exactly the same thing. So let's first erase all this and then try to understand that one too. So delete everything. Delete all this stuff. Okay, so now let's get started. So we have 366. So if you're working backwards, first subtract 150 from 366. So you're going to do 366 minus 150. So if you subtract it, you'll be getting 116. I'm sorry, 216. Okay, so 366 minus 150, that will give you 216. So now you have to figure out the number of smartphones. So remember, for each smartphones you were making $18. Okay, so now that means you have to now divide So that's our second step. Divide the 216 by 18. So if we do this, so 216 divided by 18, you can use a calculator if you want, but the way you can do this is 18 and 21. That means only one 18 can go into 21. You have 3 left, and then you have 6, so 36. 18 times 2 is 36, so that's 12. So that means 12 smartphones. And you can check your work whether this is right or wrong. You can do 12 times 18 and plus 150, and you should get that 366 back. If you don't get it back, that means you made a mistake somewhere in your code. So 12 times 18 will give you 216 and plus 150, that will be 366. So you can see, yep, this is working. So that's how working backwards work. So if you know, okay, what you did, so 150 plus 18 times 10. And if you want to undo this, first you are going to subtract. Instead of plus, you will be subtracting. Then instead of multiplication, you will be dividing. So you will be doing exactly the opposite thing to undo the operation. All right, so that's how working backwards works. Hopefully this makes sense. Thank you for watching, guys. Bye.